I'm Rachael.
I'm Sherry.
I'm Kim. We're the Spooky Hoochies.
And this is Soul Sessions.
We are a trio of soul sisters who get together every weekend over the phone to discuss our favorite paranormal cases and give you, the listener, the opportunity to eavesdrop on that conversation
and spend the night with the Spooky Hoochies. In the quiet town of Fall River, Massachusetts, there is a house that doesn't like to be forgotten. A house that keeps its secrets and its spirits. They say if you stand still long enough inside, you can hear the echoes of what happened here. The cries, the footsteps, the final moments that marked this place forever. On August 4th, 1892, Andrew and Abby Borden were found brutally murdered inside their home on 2nd Street, their skulls crushed by the swing of an axe, and the only suspect, their daughter, Lizzie. She claimed innocence. The court believed her, but Fall River never did. More than a century later, the house still stands, and those who enter say the past hasn't left. Guests have heard footsteps pacing overhead, even when there's no one there. Doors open on their own, a cold hand brushes the back of your neck, and the faint scent of iron lingers in the air. Some hear weeping in the guest bedroom, where Abby met her ends. Others hear laughter, a woman's laugh, sharp, hollow, and gone as quickly as it came. Is it guilt that lingers here? The energy of violence that refuses to fade? Or is it Lizzie herself, still here, searching for redemption or revenge? Whatever truth lies within those walls, it's waiting, watching, and whispering still. Because in Fall River, the axe may have been put down long ago, but the haunting of Lizzie Borden has never ended.
Man, that's unfair.
What?
This call is being recorded.
Oh. So, did you get a chance to do much research?
Some. I'm not even going to lie. I'm going to piggyback off of y'all on a lot of things because there's a lot of things I don't understand, but I also understand that you are very well versed. So,
yes, Rachael has done the bulk of the conversation or the research on this one. So, I guess just to get us started, then let's just give us like a rundown of what you know.
Lizzie Borden took an axe, gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41. While this rhyme is far from the truth, the reality of what took place at 92 2nd Street in Fall River, Massachusetts on August 4th, 1892 is just as gruesome. On the morning of August 4th, 1892, the day started as normal as a day could. The Borden household had battled some sort of stomach flu the day before. Nonetheless, Andrew Borden, the family patriarch, left that morning to go to work along with John Morse, the brother of his late wife and the uncle to his 2 daughters. Abby Borden, Andrew's wife, went to make up the upstairs bedroom that John had slept in the night before during his visit. She had sent the maid, Bridget Sullivan, to wash windows. Lizzie, Andrew's youngest daughter, slept in while her sister Emma was out of town, visiting friends. Around 9:30, Abby came downstairs to retrieve fresh pillowcases. That would be the last time she descended those stairs. Still feeling ill from the day before, Bridget returned to her room to rest. As she entered the house, she saw Andrew return home. Lizzie greeted her father and told him that her stepmother had received a note from a sick friend and went to visit them. Andrew himself was still not feeling well and reclined on the sofa to take a nap. Just as Bridget had closed her eyes, she heard Lizzie scream, "Come down quick! Father's dead! Somebody's come in and killed him!" Lizzie sent Bridget after the family doctor. He said Mr. Borden was virtually unrecognizable after the 11 axe or hatchet blows, most of which were about his head and face. Abby was later discovered in the upstairs bedroom with 19 axe or hatchet wounds. An immediate investigation ensued. Lizzie claimed she had been in the barn looking for a sinker for an upcoming fishing trip. She said while in the barn, she stopped to eat pears for about 15 to 20 minutes. When she returned to the house, she found Andrew murdered. She insisted she didn't know what happened. Despite denying any knowledge of or involvement in the killing of her parents, Lizzie was arrested on August 11, 1892 and charged with murder. Her trial began June 5, 1893, and on June 20, 1893, a jury returned a verdict of not guilty, despite mounting evidence of her guilt. Lizzie was not fond of her stepmother, even telling a friend Abby was a mean old thing. Lizzie also was not happy with her father despite his great wealth. Mr. Borden chose to live in a modest home with no gas, lighting the house with kerosene. Lizzie longed to live on the hill where all the other wealthy people lived in town. Andrew also killed some pigeons Lizzie was caring for with a hatchet just months before the murders. Abby had told the family doctor the day before the murders she thought their milk was being poisoned. Lizzie was seen trying to buy prussic acid, a dangerous poison, on the same day. Lizzie was the only person in the house between 9:30 and 10 a.m. This was when the killings were believed to occur. Many believe that Lizzie and her family still reside in the house today. Reports of spirit activity have been stated over the years since the tragedy. Footsteps, disembodied voices of a woman, laughter at strange times, and even closet doors opening by themselves have been reported. Temperature changes and EMF spikes in the house have been recorded. Numerous photos of possible spirits have been captured. Items in the house have been moved. Some have claimed to see an apparition of an older woman who they believe to be Abby. Cries have been heard coming from Lizzie's bedroom. It's as if the family is trying to tell everyone they are still there. Some say Lizzie is waiting until her name is fully cleared. Whatever their reason, the Borden family has seemed to hang around over 100 years after their tragic deaths. Did Lizzie Borden kill her father and stepmother with a hatchet or axe? Or is she just an innocent girl who could never overcome what she was accused of? Is the house on 2nd Street haunted with the ghosts of the Borden family, or is it just a way to keep the folklore of the story alive?
Now, we can go into, when we go into the hauntings, they believe that, obviously that Mr. and Mrs. Borden are in the house. They think that a lot of people say that Lizzie is still there because she wants to prove her innocence. And until she's proven innocent, she hangs around. Because that's not where she lived the rest of her life. She was found not guilty. She was charged with murder and found not guilty.
She was just acquitted. That's not necessarily not guilty.
Well, a not guilty verdict is what they said, is what I read.
So are they, I don't know, okay, so on a ghosty level, why would she stick around then? Because if she was found not guilty.
Because the whole town still shunned her and said that she did it. So on a legal standpoint, I mean, we know from modern day trials where people are found not guilty and the evidence is just overwhelming, but for whatever reason the jury decides it's not beyond a reasonable doubt.
Right.
But they also say that there are 2 children in the home because next door is where Mr. Borden's uncle, so it would be Lizzie's great uncle, and his wife lived. And at some point when the children were small, she attempted to drown all 3. One lived.
His wife?
So that would be her great aunt by marriage. She's not blood kin to her, but so they say that the children are somehow attached to the house as well because of it happening next door.
Right.
As far as that goes, there's been a lot of footsteps in the hallways heard. People have claimed to have seen an older woman, which Mrs. Borden was like in her mid-60s.
Yeah, I was told to hear laughing.
Yes.
Laughing.
Unnatural times where it doesn't make any sense for somebody to be laughing. What else have I?
Are there any claims at the other house where she ended up?
Maplecroft? Now, I know that the live streams that I used to do, where I would pay to watch the live stream, they did one out of the Lizzie Borden house, and they did one simultaneously at Maplecroft.
Yeah.
They actually, if I remember right, got more activity at Maplecroft.
Right.
Well,
to me, that would make sense. That would make more sense because whether she did or didn't do it, I mean, number one, we haven't even discussed motive, but you have to think about motive. And if there was any motive for her to actually commit these murders, there's enough of a reason for her to not want to be in the house, in my opinion.
True.
And if she didn't commit the murders, that's where her parents were slain. That's enough reason to not want to be in the house. So I could see a better chance of, capturing activity.
At least from her.
Right. at the house where she lived out the rest of her days, where she'd be more comfortable.
Now, I know that if we want to get to motive, there's several different ones. My mom actually gave me a couple. I read, we'll start with this one. I read that Amy Allen, who is a known psychic,
said that from the Dead Files,
said that she was told, well, I don't know exactly how, by whom or what spirit, that her and her sister, Lizzie and her sister, had an incestuous relationship, and that Abby Borden, Mrs. Borden, found out about it, and that it threatened, and I don't know if that means that her dad was just collateral damage. I've heard that just because Abby was mean to Lizzie, I mean, you gotta think,
who was older?
Sister-wise?
Yes.
Emma was older than Lizzie. Lizzie was the baby. There was actually a daughter in between them, but she died at a very young age. But
I feel like that's an important information.
And she was out of the house, which I find a little ironic. I feel like there was some involvement, because my theory is that it was done by, there's too much evidence for her not to have done it. But I feel like that at least knowledge was there on Emma's part. She was gone, visiting friends. How convenient. Mm-hmm. Oh, and the whole stomach virus thing, the day before the murders, Mrs. Borden had gone to her family doctor and said that she felt that they were being poisoned and that it was being put in their milk. That very same day, it has been documented that Lizzie tried to buy prussic acid, which is a very dangerous poison. And she was a shoplifter. So my mom and I actually talked about this a little bit. And if she was a known shoplifter, she could have, it's not like today where everything's on lockdown behind the pharmacy counter.
Aside from everything that I've just learned from you, what I do have a tendency to do is, ever since I went through, paralegal school, is I have a tendency to pick apart different pieces of the story. So, what are the other motives that could be involved? Because I don't know that I necessarily buy the sisterly incestuous relationship story.
So
All right, you want to hear mine? Or, go ahead, Sherry. You go first.
I was going to say, so I looked up and I was like, oh, well, let's figure this out. I wanted to know if there were anything, that could be motives. So one of the things that they brought up was that emotional distress from a mental breakdown triggered by the family tensions between her and Abby. Because apparently she had quit referring to Abby as mother years before and proceeded to only refer to her as Mrs. Borden.
Huh.
Well, that explains the Mrs. Borden comment earlier.
Yeah.
Okay. What else?
So others have said that it could be financial.
Yeah, because even though Mr. Borden was like the president of several banks and oversaw like cotton mills or whatever, lived a very modest lifestyle, lived in a more modest home, didn't even have gas hooked up to the house. They used kerosene to light the house. And she longed to live on what they called the hill, which is where all of the rich people lived. So
the theory is she was pissy about that because she knew Daddy had the money and didn't want to spend it.
Mm-hmm. And he was always bailing her out. When she would shoplift, he would bail her out. So.
All right. So what's your theory?
I think that there's a big possibility that her and Bridget had a relationship and Abby caught them, and quite likely that she didn't know how she was going to cover up killing, or she got caught trying to hide evidence by her father coming home, because he came home early. It was not like him to come home that time of day.
Because he was sick.
Because he wasn't feeling well.
Yeah.
So, and so again, he just kind of ended up being collateral damage.
That's an interesting theory. I would have thought, what was her name, Bridget?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of where I was leading to. That's why I wasn't really buying the sisterly thing. But my other thought, too, was what kind of man was Mr. Borden?
Well, again, he was very tightwad, that's for sure.
But we don't really know anything else about him.
I'm trying to remember what notes I took on him. I know that they said that, I want to say he was not, that it was mentioned he wasn't a very likable man. So he probably was very stern.
Were they religious at all?
Not that I read. But I do know, too, never really could I find any information on what the falling out was. But, you know, when everything was said and done and she was acquitted, her and Emma, her sister, took, you know, inheritance or whatever and went and bought Maplecroft together. And at some point, they had a falling out, and Emma left and moved out west, I believe.
Where was Bridget and all that?
Bridget, supposedly, there's not a lot known about what happened to her afterwards, but supposedly she went back. She was from Scotland or Ireland, and she supposedly went back there when everything was said and done.
I would love to find out what happened to her, because I think if we could find out what happened to her, it might give us more insight as to what the motive really was.
I mean, I've heard that, leaning more towards my theory, that Lizzie told her to go, you know, to keep her out of the...
Yeah. Well, that seems way more plausible to me than, you know, the sister thing. I mean, you have a family that's pretty well off, well-to-do, and all that, and...
That was a big no-no back then.
Yeah, that was
And I
very
did read
taboo.
somewhere, I don't remember what the woman's name was or anything like that, but I did read something somewhere where it said that Lizzie had a relationship with a woman who was very openly gay, which for that time was unheard of. You know?
So does it say relationship as in romantic or friendship? Okay. So see that, now we're building a story here.
Oh, but, I mean, Sherry is right. She did have a mental health condition. You know, there was issues there.
Lizzie did?
Yes. There was,
what'd she have going on?
She had a mental breakdown not long before the murders occurred. And then she was it's almost crazy that, it's almost like she shoplifted to spite her dad. Well, if you don't give me the money, then I'll just go take it.
Maybe, yeah.
And you'll have to pay for it anyway.
Yeah. But you know what? That also sounds a little bit like bipolar disorder.
Yeah. I mean, that was not, they called it melancholy or whatever back then, but.
Right.
Well, people that have read the, you know, the cases and the files surrounding her and stuff like that, so it says some experts actually believe that Lizzie may have had borderline personality
I could buy that.
And narcissistic.
Which go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, and it says that they feel that it probably stemmed from her feelings of control and neglect from growing up in such a strict household.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, especially if old Pops was the mofo everybody says he was. You know, if he was rule with an iron fist kind of dad and a major tightwad, I could see that.
I mean, I wouldn't say that trauma of losing her mother, because I want to say she was like 2 years old when her mom passed.
So, and my assumption here would be that even though he, you know, was that kind of dad while they were young girls, young women, whatever, that perhaps after his wife died and he was stuck with these little girls, you know, the only thing he could do to make up for it was, you know, maybe monetary things for a while.
Right.
I mean, you can't miss what you never had.
Right.
And if he was always a stickler, then who's to say she, you know, she would have known any differently.
Right.
But then I guess, you know, you got society that says,
yeah,
daddy's money,
and
blah,
I'm
blah,
sure
blah.
that associates of his were coming around, and they probably had, you know, different lifestyle than what she's seeing that she had.
So it says that he was very authoritative and emotionally distant and very highly religious.
Yeah, see?
No, he was.
Yeah.
Nothing I read ever said that, so.
Where are you reading from, Sherry?
I just Googled him
Oh, okay.
and Googled, what people have found of his personality.
Okay, so let's talk about something that as far as the crime goes. He had so many wounds to his head and face. Have you guys seen the pictures?
Yes.
His face was demolished. I mean, absolutely demolished. That's personal.
Right. I have
So
read about it, but I did not see the pictures.
now he had less wounds than she did, and her back was turned. So that may be why her face wasn't, destroyed. It just so happened that her back was turned too. But
Well, that also tells me it's personal because you can see his face. You're not going to hit him as many times if he was someone to you because you can see what you're doing to his face versus hitting somebody in the back. You absolutely, I mean, I would think you could hit somebody a lot more times if you're a coward.
I'm going to say he had 11 wounds and she had 19. So, the whole rhyme, the whole rhyme doesn't fit because it also says gave her mother 40 whacks. I mean, granted, she was her mother figure, but it was not her mother. And she definitely did not see her as that at that point. The ironic thing is that some of the information I gathered on Abby was she was not attractive. She was overweight, and she was considered old for the age she was when he married her. But I still lean towards the sexuality thing. One of the things being that she never married, but I didn't think about it. One of the things that could have influenced that too, though, is if she had BPD. I know I'm not going to air more of my family business, but I know all too well how that goes. And maintaining any type of relationship is almost impossible. I think Sherry's onto something, but that's that's an extreme way of going about things to just decide one day you're going to off them.
So, in looking up Abby, and they were 37. She was 37 when she married him. Lizzie was about 5. It says that Lizzie and Emma never accepted her as their mother, even though she reportedly treated them with care and provided a very stable home for them. They always resented her.
Well, I mean, that's understandable. That's typical, because I don't know how soon after. Well, if Lizzie was 5, I want to say that they said her mother passed when she was 2. So she'd only been gone for 3 years, and in a kid's world, that can be forever or it can be yesterday. Yeah. So
Said by 1892 that the girls rarely spoke to Abby.
see, and
what
that's saying both of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's saying both of them. So
yeah. Do they know what the weapon was? They know they were bludgeoned.
They say either an axe or a hatchet. They found an axe head in the barn, I believe, that had traces of blood, but back then they didn't have the means to check whether it was right. Because Mr. Borden, about 2 weeks before, this is another thing that could have set her off. About 2 weeks before the murders, he killed a bunch of pigeons that she had been caring for with the hatchet. So there was no way to really know whether it was, animal blood or human blood or whatever. And the handle was missing. So anyway, I guess we should go as far as the hauntings go. They've recorded EMF changes and temperature drops.
What's the laughing report? What are those claims?
They're heard at unnatural points. Is all I read.
I heard that it was, or I read that it was, that it's close to the room that Abby was found in, or it's in the room that Abby was found in.
Are they like adult laughter or kid laughter or like otherworldly laughter? Like, do we have any kind of description on that?
Mm-hmm. I didn't find anything, but it could be children, that they're claiming that are there too.
Well, what are the child claims in the house?
That they've heard children's footsteps. That I think hearing children laugh, but I don't know that that's the same claim.
Because many visitors report footsteps on the staircase and in the attic when no one is there.
Yeah.
Voices are often described as soft email whispers or crying.
Yeah, I've heard that too. That they heard crying from room.
Wow, that would freak me the hell out. Like, I don't get freaked out so much, but crying tends to do it for me.
Well, it means to me that they're not in peace.
Right. So obviously.
It says that some psychics actually claim that the house it actually holds residual haunting. So it's not like
which would play into my theory of the more traumatic, the more residual of the haunting you have, where it's like plays on a loop.
Okay, so when did the murders take place?
August 4th, 1892.
August 4th.
Mm-hmm.
I bet activity ramps up around then.
Oh, I'm sure it does, but I bet getting in there is probably like pulling teeth too.
Right. Well, now it's a bed and breakfast, right?
Yeah. You can rent the whole house, though.
Yeah.
And it's actually not that expensive, if I remember right. It was cheaper than what we paid for Bel Air. What her mother's middle name was. But both her mother and her had male middle names. It was Lizzie Andrew Borden, and I can't remember what her mother's middle name was.
Is she actually Lizzie or is she Elizabeth? Lisbeth.
Lisbeth is what she changed it to after she moved to Maple Croft.
Okay.
And that's actually what her
headstone
says.
Yeah.
Her mother's name was Sarah Anthony Morse Borden.
Right.
That's interesting. Why?
Well, I don't know. Maybe her dad's name was Anthony, because Lizzie's father's name was Andrew, and her name was Lizzie Andrew. So
that could be a thing.
Family,
What was their religion? If I had to guess, I'd guess Protestant.
Protestant. The Bordens were Protestant.
Man, I could nail that shit.
They were part of the Central Congregational Church of Fall River, Massachusetts. This denomination emphasized strict morality, modesty, hard work, and social respectability.
And Lizzie was probably none of those things.
Andrew was a stern, devout Christian who followed Puritan-influenced value.
Yep. Okay, so
which would back up the whole homosexuality.
Yeah, I've got this whole story built in my head, whether it's accurate or not. I've done built it, and I think it sucks because she might have went crazy, she might have killed her folks, but on some level, I can't help but feel like she was born way earlier than she should have been for her own mental health.
Right.
But I think maybe those are the stories that we need to focus on sometimes in these hauntings, because, just like the Salem witch trials, those were women they were burning.
Yeah.
Because Lizzie thought a little differently, because she liked girls, because she came from a background of people who were radical in our time. That was normal back then.
Right. So I guess the question would be, do we think the hauntings are legit?
I think probably. I mean, they have the greatest probability of being legit. I mean, especially for residual hauntings. I would love to check out both as far as what activity you get where, because I really believe that you probably get more activity from Lizzie at Maple Croft, yeah. I'd love to go.
Oh, it would be awesome to go. I mean, I truly think there's something there.
So it says that the entire house has been preserved almost exactly as it was during the murders, including furniture, decor, and crime scene locations.
Wow.
Yeah,
Considering
there's
the paranormal investigators describe the atmosphere as oppressively heavy.
yeah, I could get that all the
The
way.
guest bedroom, Abby Borden's murder site, guest report spots, bed, and indentions appearing where Abby's body was found.
That's crazy.
EVPs have captured a woman's voice saying things like "no more" or "help me."
You know what I find crazy is that nobody, the freaking axe went square through her head the first time. You can't tell me the woman didn't scream. From what I remember reading, nobody heard anything come from that house.
Well, I mean, we've seen the house in pictures and all that, but was it as, you know, were the houses that close together back then?
I mean, I think where they lived, it's, like any of your historical districts nowadays, you know.
So they may have genuinely been right on top of each other back then too.
Says that the sofa where Andrew was killed is one of the most active spots. Guests and staff hear footsteps pacing upstairs hallway and coming down the stairs leading to Abby's murder room. Often no one is there. Some investigators describe hearing a woman calling Lizzie.
Hmm.
In the servants' quarters, EVPs have captured children laughing and footsteps running.
Which would attribute to the whole story of the
The
drowned
basement,
children.
the most unsettling area is the basement, as this is where the broken-handled hatchet was found.
The broken handle of the hatchet?
All it says is the broken-handled hatchet was found. Visitors often feel cold drafts, report whispering voices, and describe a sense of being watched.
So what's your take on it, Sherry? Do you think that it's legit?
I think residually it could be. Because I truly believe that we leave an imprint on all of the places that we go, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I believe it depends, whether you leave a good imprint or a bad imprint. And when something traumatic or bad happens, then definitely going to be that residual. I believe there's residual thing. That's funny that I just said that because it actually, when I scroll further down, it actually says that the house is known to have an emotional imprint, that the house has absorbed decades of repression, anger, and tragedy.
Did anybody live in the house after the Borden
Murders?
Yeah.
Well, didn't
Um,
Lizzie stay there for a long time?
no, she moved into Maplecroft after she left, after she was
I have
acquitted.
read somewhere.
So, would you guys be interested in going?
I would love to go, and I know my mother would absolutely love it.
I would love to have your mom with us.
But, so I guess the other question I have is, do you think she did it?
I guess without actually digging in and seeing all the evidence for myself, I can't make that determination.
Well, I know that my mother said that they recently did a mock trial with all the evidence and all that, and they actually convicted her.
Really?
Yes. I mean, short of it being an intruder
Mhm.
or Bridget Sullivan,
Mhm.
who else could it have been?
Bridget was where?
She was outside washing windows, and she actually stopped to talk to a neighbor.
See, and that was my other thing when you were talking about, the happenings of it. Why, what ruled Bridget out?
I mean, I don't know that.
Because I'd like to figure out how they ruled Bridget out. Because if she and Bridget were having a romantic relationship, Bridget had everything, just as much to lose as Lizzie did.
Right.
And she very well, I mean, for as, and here's my other, they both had as much to lose and nobody heard anything, then maybe they did that shit together.
That's quite possible.
I mean, I feel like that might even be probable.
I'm not sure. I would have to research as to what.
Well, maybe not, because why would she send her away? Yeah, maybe not, because I'm going to retract that, because that doesn't make sense. Why would she send her away if they were both in on it? Unless she didn't want her to go to jail, or I don't know. Or
After the
maybe Bridget was traumatized.
After the murders, Bridget informed Minnie that I don't know who Minnie is, but that she wanted to go back to Ireland and purchase a small farm. It turned out not to be what she wanted. She came back to the United States and then joined Minnie in Montana. I don't have any idea who Minnie is. But let me look and see if I can figure that out. Oh, it was a friend of hers named Minnie Green. The two had come to the U.S. together. Minnie headed for mining camps in Montana because the prospects seemed better, while Bridget stayed close to the ocean. After the murders, Bridget informed Minnie that she wanted to go back to Ireland and purchase a farm. It turned out to not be what she wanted. She came back to the United States and then joined Minnie in Montana. She met and married John Sullivan, had some children, and died in Montana.
I think maybe it's possible Lizzie freaked her out and she took off. I don't know that Lizzie shipped her out. I think it's probably more likely that she freaked out. And maybe Minnie was more than a friend. I don't know. Now I'm just speculating. I should stop doing that. But it makes for a good story in my head. It does. All right. Well, we're going to go do spooky shit while you slave away. Sorry about it.
All right, send me pictures.
Okay.
Alrighty, y'all have fun.
All right. Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
If you'd like to add to our conversation, or you have a case you'd like us to cover, leave us a comment below. If you want to see more videos like this video and subscribe.